But right now, I want you to put your hands together for this. The perseverance that this guy showed in Amazing Race was just something to behold. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce you to the winning of Amazing Race Canada and Parkinson's advocate from Winnipeg, Tim Hague Sr.
Hello Amazing Race Canada, my name's Tim Hague Jr., this is Tim Hague Sr., and we're coming at you from the winter metropolis of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. We're coming at you today to tell you exactly why we deserve to be on the Amazing Race.
Listen guys, if you live in this town, you gotta be number one, a little bit crazy, two, a whole lot of strong, because it is friggin' cold here most of the time. And we're here to tell you that we're your guys, we got this covered. We're coming at you. We are the ones. Here we are.
Oh boy, do you think that was too awkward?
That was a little awkward.
I felt awkward.
I felt very awkward,
hopefully.
especially when the neighbors came out.
Yeah, that was...
I think it's better with clothes on.
We'll keep it that way, I guess. Right. I don't know. Anyways, folks, everyone has a story. And honestly, more than anything, we just want a chance to be able to tell ours. My dad 3 years ago, was given some news that most people, it would have shaken them to the core. It would have probably rocked their world and they probably wouldn't have come out from it. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which for those of you who don't know, it's a degenerative disease that at one point, someday, he won't be able to control his body. We want to be able to tell the world that just because a diagnosis happens does not mean that your world ends or that you have to stop fighting.
Yeah, like Tim says, a diagnosis does not have to be the end. And for me, at 48 years old, I want to say to my wife, I want to say to my kids, I have 4 kids, I want to say to the Parkinson's community, that just because you've been given a diagnosis does not mean the end of your life, doesn't mean that you can't still compete, doesn't mean that you have to go quietly into the night and roll over with it. I want to stay strong for my kids and my family, I want to stay strong for my career, and continue doing what we do. Last year, Tim ran his first half marathon. I've run a triathlon, 1 full marathon, multiple half marathons, and I plan on running another couple this next summer.
Wow.
We're going to keep going. We're going to keep doing. And we are convinced that this father-son team can be one of the best that you've ever had, certainly the best you've ever had in Canada. We want to compete. We want to win. We expect to hear from you.
You're getting really serious on us now.
Well, I'm serious, folks. We got to go. We're coming at you, folks. You want us.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Wait. Wait for it. Best part.
He's basically like Superman.
Close. Close.
Just what every dad wants to hear is their kid calling him Superman, right? Well, greetings from Winnipeg. Now, thank you. You're very kind. Pardon? Well, just so you know, I didn't shoot that last week. I know you thought I did. That's why I'm telling you. I left at plus 20 this morning, beautiful Winnipeg. We have discovered malathion. In all seriousness, a few years back, we started having folks die from West Nile disease and mosquitoes. We decided to kill them. So we fog like mad now. We have actually beautiful summers, if you like malathion. It's good stuff. We enjoy it. Well, thank you so much for having me out. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm sorry I didn't get to golf with you. When Shelley called and said, you know, we'd like to auction you off to one of the teams, I said, you know, I don't really think that'd be fair. I think it's further not fair that I have to compete with the MC tonight. Like, what the crap? Tone it down, make me look good, huh?
You're doing fine, buddy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Parkinson's. This is typically where I start off my conversation, explaining to folks what Parkinson's is about, but I assume most of you know what that is. Generally, I'll ask, any of you heard of Parkinson's disease? I would assume all hands would go up here. Or you just wandered in for a good golf game, not quite sure what we're doing here. Parkinson's. Well, John, what do we say about Parkinson's, eh? Nothing good. Well, that's not true. I was sitting in my, well, where do I want to start this story? Having the opportunity to share with people like this. This past year I've had the opportunity to speak from literally everything from the schoolroom to the boardroom, and generally folks don't know about Parkinson's. So the opportunity to speak to people who this topic is, first of all, understood, and then you carry some passion for it, thus the reason you're here today, is very meaningful to me. Because having been diagnosed with Parkinson's now for 3 years, it's important to me to see these kind of events. It encourages me and it moves me that you come out and participate and do the work that you do on my behalf. So thank you not only personally, but for that greater group of people with Parkinson's for all that you do. I was sitting in my kitchen reading the Saturday paper one Saturday, as I am often wont to do, back in August of 2010, when I realized my left big toe was twitching. I say to myself, that's odd. I'm not stressed, even though I have 4 children, 2 of them are twins. I'm not anxious, I'm not depressed. I am a nurse by training, and thus my brain starts spinning. And I say to myself, this probably isn't good. I look down, and sure enough, there's my left toe just ticking away. And the very first thing that goes through my mind is, crap, this isn't good. 2, it's either MS or Parkinson's. 3, dear God, don't let it be MS. Because if you got to have one of those 2, I'll take Parkinson's over the MS. Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disorder, a progressive neurodegenerative disorder that results in the decreased production of dopamine in the substantia nigra portion of the brain. Now, you all look like a fairly smart crowd. Jeff, can you repeat that?
No, sir.
Okay. I said it slow. Let's try one more time. Parkinson's is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that results in the decreased production of dopamine in the substantia nigra portion of the brain.
I've been up since 3 in the morning.
Okay. Parkinson's is a progressive, it gets worse with time, neurodegenerative disease. It's a nerve disease of the brain that results in the decreased production of a chemical called dopamine. That chemical is produced in the substantia nigra, which if you were to look right straight through my head here, right through the center here, you wouldn't find much, but you would find the thalamus. Thank you. Most people don't catch that. Most don't get that. You'll find the thalamus right next to the thalamus, the substantia nigra. The substantia nigra produces this chemical called dopamine. Without dopamine, see that? That's classic Parkinson's. Am I doing that? I can't really do that easily. I can make that happen, but I'm not making that happen. I just get to do that for free. So I have to do that to get it to stop. Classic Parkinson's. Okay? You got it now? You sure?
I still can't repeat it, but I've got it.
Okay. Well, typically when I do the K to 8 groups, I'll boil it right down to my brain doesn't work right. And then they like that. They get a little chuckle.
Do you also want a picture with Humble Howard?
No. I want a picture with both of you. Ultimately, it boils down to the fact that my brain doesn't work right, and thus the symptoms that I exhibit. Parkinson's will eventually lead to the tremor. By the time you get the tremor, 80% of your dopamine is no longer being produced. It leads to rigidity, postural hypotension, which means you're off balance, and those are the good things that it starts with. It progresses from there and gets worse. My wife and I were going on our 25th anniversary that year in late 2010. So like any good husband, I did what any good husband would do. I kept my mouth shut and said nothing when I saw this tremor, right? Isn't that what you would do, right? We're going to Europe, going to spend 3 weeks in Europe, so this will go away, it'll get better, and everything will go on and be fine. We go on holidays, and what I didn't realize about Parkinson's at the time, which I've since learned, that any kind of stress, good, bad, or indifference, makes your symptoms worse. So, of course, we go off on this trip, and we're having a great time. It's fun, but it's its own different kind of stressor, right? And so the symptoms actually got worse. So I eventually broke it down for her, told her what was going on, and that was okay. Came back home, had a long chat with my family GP who had looked after me for years, and made an appointment with Dr. Andrew Boris at our movement disorder clinic in Winnipeg, and we discussed the fact that I had Parkinson's disease. I don't like it. It's been very unpleasant. I would give it away in a heartbeat if I could, but it's had one very significant upside. It got me on the Amazing Race Canada. It wasn't just that we were cute. 2 black man toques, scarves, boxer shorts in the snow. That kind of worked for them. They liked it. From Winnipeg. Helped to be from Winnipeg. But my wife told me right from the get-go, see, she's a bit of a fanatic with the show. She's watched all 24 seasons. She's seen everything. She said, if it ever comes to Winnipeg or to Canada, we're applying. I said, okay, whatever, dear. It came to Canada. She said, we're applying. I said, okay, fine, dear. Then we found out that we had to guarantee them 5 weeks of our lives. She came back and said, we can't do that. 4 kids, 2 15-year-old twins. Nobody in their right mind leaves 15-year-old twins at home alone for 5 weeks. So she says, we can't do this. I said, okay, dear, but you and Tim Jr. can. What are you talking about, dear? She said, they will like you. You're good looking. You have a point, dear. They will like that it's a father-son team. They will like that it's Tim and Tim. They will like your Parkinson's. I said, I'm slightly offended by the latter. But nonetheless, you make a point. We'll give this a shot. We spent half a day, put that video together, have an international student who lives with us. We shot that thing. It was Tim Jr.'s idea. We threw it on the email, sent it to the Amazing Race Canada, and I honestly forgot about it. They called the morning of the closing date. The closing was supposed to happen at 6 that evening. They called that morning, and as they say, the rest is history. I like to say that I got on the Amazing Race because of my Parkinson's. I somehow survived it in spite of it. How many of you got to watch the show? Fabulous. Not bad, not bad. How many of you did not watch the show? You're among friends. Go ahead, stick your hands in the air. Good, good, good. My only question for you is, what do you do with your life? It was the #1 rated television show in Canadian history, and you missed it. Don't you feel bad? July 8th, season 2. I should be getting money for that. I don't. But July 8th, season 2 starts. It won't be as good as season 1. They didn't ask me back. But I'm sure it will be very, very good. If you didn't see it, it's a reality television show. It's a giant scavenger hunt. We literally flew from coast to coast to coast to coast. There's one too many in there, but you know what I meant. 10,000 teams applied to be on the race. 10,000. Out of 10,000 applicants, we managed to be one of 9 teams. After hundreds of interviews, 3 territories, 7 provinces, over 23,000 miles flown, we somehow managed to end up the first to the mat on the 9th leg in a race around Canada. So I wake up one day in a hotel room in Toronto, not far from here. It's a nice place. You should visit sometime. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't Winnipeg. Fairmont Royal York. Very nice gig if you can get it. With the voices of my 15-year-old twins ringing in my ears. Dad, if you do nothing else on this show, if you accomplish nothing else, if you do nothing else, please don't do this. Don't embarrass us. Yes, after 10,000 applications, after hundreds of interviews, after all of the work that we've done to get here, your mental health is my top priority. I will attempt to do this. We started off the race in Niagara. You will recall that instead of pulling 2 clues from the butterflies, the Tims made their very first mistake of pulling only 1, thus incurring a 30-minute penalty at the end of that leg, costing us our 5th place finish, ending up in 6th place. However, we were not the first team to be eliminated. The twins did that for us. We are grateful to them, thus preserving my children's mental health. We made it through leg 2 in Vancouver, made our way to Kelowna, made our way across to Drumheller, and in Drumheller, well, all I can really do about Drumheller is show you.
Right here, Dad.
Oh, Timothy!
Roadblock. Who wants to get in line?
Yeah, I'll take
You
it.
wanna do it?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Oh my goodness gracious.
Show them how the black man dances.
Couple reasons why you shouldn't date somebody like
I don't think I did it.
Try it again.
Oh, I stumbled a couple times, but it's getting there. It's close.
We've been here close to 3 hours, man.
Really? Shoot.
All right, you're freaking out. Just chill out. Just chill out.
What can you say? This just isn't his thing. I should have done it.
Oh, sorry, man. I may have to go home. I don't know. This sucks.
Just keep it going, man.
Okay.
Don't give up on me, all right?
Okay. I'm finally just frustrated. It's my 9th time. I just want to be done.
reasons why you shouldn't date somebody like
Congratulations.
Good not give up, Dad. Proud of you. Let's go.
We need a challenge that we can do.
We can do all challenges, Dad. It's just how well.
A challenge that we can do well. Let me restate it.
Let's get it going. Wash house, here we go.
Tim Jr., Tim Sr.
Let's lift it. Try it.
Wait, 1, 2, 3.
Money.
Mr. Smarty Pants here comes up with a brilliant idea that we just pick the wheelbarrow up and dump it in. All right, my son. This is our car, sir.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Car meets haulage.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Drive yourself to Horse Thief Canyon Overlook to find John at the next pit stop. Oh, we passed it. I know exactly where that is. You're gonna be going left, and it'll be on the right.
As long as you're positive we're going in the right direction.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm positive I've seen it today.
Okay. And this, can this be right?
I don't know.
Should I pull the cops over and ask them?
Oh, that's by the museum.
It's by the museum? Going around in a circle for crying out loud.
We're clearly going the opposite direction. The deduction is we have to be last.
That's why we've lost. Because of stupid crap like that.
Tim and Tim, you were the last team to arrive.
Yep, I figured as much.
However, this is a non-elimination round,
No.
and you are very much still in this race.
Somebody up there likes us, man. We just keep on rolling. That makes no sense.
I don't feel like this is who we can be. When you don't feel like you're living up to your potential, then it's frustrating. We are here to win. And I appreciate that everybody else kind of thinks we're on the back burner, that they don't have to think about us. I just hope that they keep it there so that when we fly past them, they wonder what in the world happened.
Amen to that.
I just want for the record, when I moved to Canada 24 and a half years ago, there's a little place called the Forks in Winnipeg down on the river. There was a competition one summer. I won Blue Bomber tickets doing the boot, scoot, and boogie. There was a day this black man could dance. You give him Parkinson's, well, there goes that dance. I wish I'd have thought of that before I took on that challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw there was the most of that dance I ever got right. I was dead last coming out of that saloon. I couldn't get it, wasn't going to get it, probably would have been to last week getting it, and they finally just said, please leave. Gave me the next clue, and on we went. It was the most frustrating day of the race by far for us. Tim Jr., if the apple did not fall far from the tree when it comes to navigationally challenged, I'm sure I saw it, Dad. I'm positive I saw it. Well, what he was positive he saw was Horseshoe Canyon. We needed Horse Thief Overlook. Well, they both have horse in them. Otherwise, we butchered that day. I could not get through that dance. He screwed that up. If we'd have got it just 15 minutes sooner, we'd have been second to last versus last. We ended that day extraordinarily frustrated. I was exhausted. I hadn't been eating right. I wasn't drinking well. I wasn't sleeping well. It had been a week and a half since I had talked to my wife. I hadn't seen my kids. And when you see me there at the mat doing this business, grabbing my forehead, all 3 acres of it, and shaking my head, there was about 20% of me that was just tired of this. I was done. I could not believe that he said, however, this is a non-elimination race or a leg. There was a part of me that just wanted to give up and go home. I was done. I was frustrated and did not really want to go on. Now the question then has to be asked, how do you beat out 10,000 other teams? How do you get through all the interviews that we went through? How do you get to the 3rd leg of the Amazing Race Canada and not be having fun? Well, the Tims were not having fun, and there was a problem. There wasn't a problem with the race. There wasn't a problem with how things were going. There was a problem with us. And we went back to our dinosaur hotel that evening because we were in Drumheller. If you've been to Drumheller, everything is dinosaurs. Everything is dinosaurs. You go to the Walmart, everything is in dinosaur shapes. We go back to our little dinosaur hotel, we sit down and we have a little heart-to-heart. We say, what in the world are we going to do? Because we're on the verge of making fools out of ourselves on national television here. What are we going to do? Well, my son has 2 tattoos. I'm quite sure that he and my second born came out of the womb saying, Daddy, can we have tattoos? And Daddy has always said no. When you're 18, you go do permanently to your body whatever you want to do to your body, but until such time, the answer is no. Well, on his 18th birthday, he went and got a tattoo. I'm not sure what that says about me, but something in there. His tattoos are here, a symbol of the Christian Trinity. On his back, a passage from the Christian Scriptures, Psalms 46:10. 2 words, cease striving. And I don't really recall how the conversation went that evening, but somewhere along the way we came round to those 2 words, and we realized that what we were doing was striving. Now, if you go to Mr. Google and look up the word striving, you will find to struggle or fight forcefully. The word has its origins in the Old English, to contend, to quarrel, to fight. It has a part of that French word for strife. It carries with it this sense of a burden of anxiety. It's that gut-wrenching, mind-numbing, heart attack-producing, migraine-inducing, freaked-out, stressed-out way of thinking that says, by God, I will make this happen no matter what it takes. And quite frankly, it wasn't working for us. So we decided we were going to stop. We're just going to stop. Regroup and do one thing. How can you be in this moment and not be having fun? So the first thing we're going to do is simply start having fun. Start enjoying the fact that we get to see as much as Canada as we get to see on somebody else's dime and have a great time doing it. So we're just going to have fun. And 2, we're simply going to do our best and be content with whatever our best produces. And we'll see how it goes. We'll simply see how it goes. Now, the Amazing Race taught me a couple of lessons. One, it taught me a whole new lesson in strength and courage. It taught me that real strength is found that doing your best really is the right thing to do. It taught me the courage to believe that my best would indeed be enough. And it's in this part of my speech that I often worry that you'll get lost a little bit, because I know that that sounds a little trite. It sounds a little simplistic. And if we let it, it can just slip right by us. But I want you to recall that old adage that we've heard many, many times that says, everything that we ever really needed to know, everything that we ever really needed to learn, we learned in kindergarten. And how many times through school did your teacher tell you, Timmy, just do your best. Timmy, just do your best. And somehow along the way, as we grow up and we get our degrees and we go to school and we get smarter, we forget to just have fun and just do our best and be content with what my best will produce. You may recall, if you watched the show, that we were not the prettiest team on the show. Who was the prettiest team on the show?
The girls.
Selena and Vanessa. I mean, the truth is, the Tims will never look as good in spandex as those two girls. Hands down. We weren't the funniest. Who was the funniest? Dave and Jet. Remember the big guys? Jet is everything in person he was on the show. Just have a bottle of scotch around if he's near. It takes a bit after a while. He's a great guy, carries a 45, so I would never say anything to him. But he's crazy. We weren't necessarily the smartest on the team, on the race. Who was the smartest? The docs. Hands down, those two doctors, way smarter than me. Hal and Joanne, I swear they never sleep. The rest of us, we'd be sitting around an airport somewhere, having our coffee, a bagel, having a donut, relax, chilling out, and somebody'd say, "Where's Hal and Joe?" I don't know. Haven't seen them for a while. An hour later, Hal and Joe would show up, coffees in each hand, a donut stuck in their mouth, looking like wild animals for the next clue. I'm sure the men never, ever shut off. Ever. And if we hadn't been so fortunate as to catch him in Regina, I dare say I would have given it to either them or the doctors. Smart, tenacious competitors. I wouldn't say that we were even necessarily the strongest. Jody and Corey. Remember Jody? No legs? First time I met Jody, I looked across the room and said, "Yeah, got you, buddy." Silly Timmy. The man's a moose, legs or no. He was an incredible competitor. Strong, both in character and in physical strength. So we just decided to have fun. Do our best, whatever that looked like, and be content with what our best produced. Now, I would like to suggest to you that with our newfound happiness, that our newfound zen, that our gameplay completely changed. It did not. We continued to suck. However, you could argue that people with Parkinson's aren't supposed to do all the crazy stuff that we did on the race. But we proved that wrong. The Amazing Race taught me a whole new lesson in the area of perseverance. Perseverance is a great big long word that when we first bumped into it, we realized that Tim Jr. couldn't pronounce it and I didn't know what it meant, so we had to go Google it. It's a word that's typically associated with bad things, hard things. As a people, we typically avoid hard things, difficult things. Therefore, we're not that close to the word perseverance. If you Google the word perseverance, you will find this definition: to continue in a course of action, even in the face of difficulty, with little or no evidence of success. To continue in a course of action, even in the face of difficulty, with little or no evidence of success. If you Google that word, you will find that definition alongside it, the faces of the Tims. Because never, ever did we show any indication of success. Over and over and over again, you watched us get lost. In Kelowna, we got lost. In Quebec City, we got lost. In Regina, we got lost. In Toronto, where everyone else took 15 minutes to make their way through the zoo, find those stupid pandas and get out, we got lost and took an hour and a half. In Cape Spear, Newfoundland, ladies and gentlemen, we were in the semis, running for the finals. There were 4 teams left. We were in 3rd position. All we had to do was get to the mat, and we were racing for $500,000, and we got lost. Never, ever, ever did we exhibit any hope of winning this thing. And yet we persevered. Despite having little evidence of success, we persevered. In the face of difficulty, leg after leg, we persevered. We were strong enough, we were courageous enough to believe that our best would be good enough, and in the end, it was. Where does that kind of commitment come from? I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in February of 2011. I was not happy. Like I said earlier, I would be more than happy to give it away for free to anyone who would want it. I don't like having Parkinson's. It doesn't make my life easy. I would trade it. I would be happy if they came up with a cure. I'd be more than happy to not shake all the time. But when I was diagnosed, my first year was miserable. Sat on my butt, stopped running, stopped cycling, stopped doing the things that I knew I should be doing, despite my neurologist telling me you're in as good a shape as you are today, Tim, because of the exercise you've done over the last 20 years. I stopped, got depressed, did all those bad things. And then I came to terms one day. Are you going to live like this? And in my simple way of dealing with this, I said there's really only 3 ways I can look at this. One, I can try to pretend it's benign, that it's nothing. Well, it's not nothing. I don't speak to you tonight with my hand in my pocket because that's good speaking etiquette. It's not. But it keeps me from being distracted by an arm that either wants to hang flaccid or bounce around all evening. So I stick it in my pocket. It's not benign. It makes me extremely tired. I have to be very careful of my day-to-day and maintain enough rest just to do what I want to get done in life. So if it's not benign, it could be a curse. I could say, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. I can't cope with this. I'm going to lay down, die, roll over with it, let it take over. You might have guessed that that's probably not me. It doesn't get me. It simply doesn't get to have me. And I'm not going to live under a curse. So if it's not benign, if it's not a curse, to my way of thinking, there's only one other thing it can be, and that is a blessing. There has to be something good in this that's either good for me or that I can do good for others. There has to be something positive in this. And that's how I choose to live. I chose to embrace Parkinson's as a blessing, and in so doing, I refuse to give it my life. It's progressive? You bet it is. I shake way more today than I did 3 years ago. But the reality is I can slow it. I can get up most every morning and do 45 minutes of yoga and stretching and make a huge difference in how Parkinson's impacts my life. I can cycle most days to work and make a difference in how Parkinson's impacts my life. It is progressive, but I can slow it. It's debilitating, but not yet. It one day may take my life, but not today. I walked into the Amazing Race Canada with the same attitude I walk through life with. Parkinson's cannot have my life, and it cannot take the Amazing Race Canada away from me. Thus, when I stood on a 12-inch wide plank 50 feet above the ground in Kelowna, I said, I will walk this plank, and I will not fall off. In Iqaluit, when I sat down in front of 12 pieces of muktuk, with my dear mother vividly in my mind, her words ringing, I hope you have one just like you one day. You have a mom like that too, eh? I said, I will eat this muktuk, and I will not throw it up. But the fact is, we all know it's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day when we see so little evidence of success. Out of those 8 legs, we came in second twice, third once. Otherwise, we were last or near last every single leg of the race but one. I don't think anyone in this room, nigh anyone in Canada, would have wondered, would have held it against us if we had just given up. If we had just said, there's no hope in Tecumseh. It's not happening. We can't get our act together. We can't do this. We'll just settle back, do what we do, have some fun, go home when we go home. Right? Not a soul in this room would have questioned that decision, because we never showed any evidence of success. I want to tell you a story, though. Week after week in Winnipeg, while the show was being shown, we had parties. We'd have them at Boston Pizza, we'd have them at our church, we had a theater one evening that we filled up with 275 people, and all the proceeds went to Parkinson's Society of Manitoba to watch the show together. And leg 6, when we were in Quebec City, it was our second non-elimination leg. We had made it through the show. We're running towards the mat. And do you know what the loser clap is? You know the loser clap? That's right, do it with me. Way to go, boys. Good job, boys. You know, you made it on the show anyway. We're proud of you. You're Winnipeggers. The loser clap. We're running for the mat, and we're getting the loser clap. And for one brief moment in time, there are 4 people in this room. My wife, my daughter-in-law, Tim Jr., and myself. We stood there like gods because we knew the future. We knew that not only was this a non-elimination leg, but that we also knew that we won the whole thing. And when we hit the mat, and John said again, "Your last, boys, but your wives are going to have to live without you for just a little bit longer," that room erupted like we were grade 5 kids all over again. I'm running around the room, high-fiving everybody, looked like an absolute maniac. I think it was almost as much fun as winning. And we had this phenomenal time. Now here's the take-home. Whether it was last in Kelowna, last in Regina, last in Cape Spear, last in Toronto, we had multiple, so many opportunities to listen and give in to the loser clap. Because believe me, it played over and over again. How will you ever survive? You're always in last. You're always bringing up the rear. We could have easily laid down, given up, and just let things wash over us. And if we had, we would have sacrificed a championship that had our name on it. We may not have been the prettiest. We may not have been the smartest. We may not have been the funniest or the strongest. But the fact is, the championship belonged to us. We simply needed to go get it. When that loser clap plays in your head, and we all know it does, whatever that looks like, I implore you to remember the Tims and to persevere, to do your best, even in the face of difficulty, even if there's little to no evidence of success. Persevere. Just persevere. Let's go to Iqaluit.
We gotta keep going, man. We're behind right now.
This sucks.
You can do it, Dad. You can do it. You got it, Dad. You got it.
Vanessa, I can't move it.
Go, go, go. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Yeah. That's the way. That's the way. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. Few more steps. Few more steps. You got it.
Well, the stupid Parkinson's, if you get tired and then your left side doesn't want to work quite right.
Oh, God.
You got it, Dad. I'm proud of you, man. Almost there. Almost there.
Our little mantra is dig deeper.
That's the way. Yes. Push. That's the way, Dad. That's the way.
Am I there?
I think we're good. That's some serious hero work that you just did, man.
I can't change Parkinson's. That's fine. But it can't take Amazing Race away from me.
Go do your thing. I'm fine. Knock that sucker down, my boy.
Oh, almost, almost.
Where are the other teams?
It doesn't matter right now. We'll worry about the other teams later. You can do this.
Yes!
Come on, Vanessa.
Come on. Yes! That's the way. That's the way.
Let's go.
Fast as you can, boys. Come on, boys. Come on.
Hey, good boys. We're good? Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go for it, Dad. Okay, keep eating. You can do it.
That one almost got me.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Dad, he just pounded them back like nobody's business. All right. Make your way northwest for 1 kilometer and search for John at your next pit stop.
Okay. Press. Okay. See him?
Nope.
Oh, not even close. He's killing me.
Not even close. No, Dad, you're killing it.
Hold on. I need a hand.
Yep.
This one's for Winnipeg.
This is it, Dad. This is it.
Tim and Tim. You're team number 2.
You did that, Dad.
From last and narrowly being eliminated from this race to second today, guys.
Everything that he's been told is that Parkinson's is gonna make him too tired to be able to push further. It's gonna make him too shaky to be able to do anything.
Oh, we did this.
Yeah. Today, we're sitting here second.
I think I left half of me on that hill. That's rough, man.
That's some serious Tim time, Dad. Listen, Dad.
Man. That's my boy hauling me up a mountain is what that is.
Second place. Last the day before. If Drumheller was the most frustrating day of the race, Iqaluit was the most physically challenging. It was a rough day. Everything that you just saw there took us a full day to accomplish. We started off the day with me pulling him across the ice 1 kilometer in that yellow sled. It took me about 12 times of watching this video before I realized he was sitting in the front of the sled. Think canoe. Sit in the back, raise the front, make it easy on your old man? No. I came home from wherever I was at, I walked up to him, slapped him in the head. So what's that for? Doggone it, eh? Kilometer across the ice, harpoons, knocked down the targets. That took however long it took. Back across the ice, me in the sled this time, the way it should be. He gets me back, we jump on skidoos, way around the ice to the oldest Hudson's Bay post in Canada, the first one ever built. That's where we discovered the muck tuck. And just so you know, muck tuck's not bad if you don't chew. Those pieces were about as big as the end of my little finger, about twice as tall. The first one I tried to swallow whole. That I just about threw up. It was just a little too big. The next one I took a bite of, realized the skin would come off the fat. So now you have two multivitamins in your mouth. Yeah, we're of the age. We know what multivitamins are. So now you got two multivitamins in your mouth, a glass of water, chuck it back, swallow, done. I honestly have no idea what muck tuck tastes like. Whereas Vanessa, she knows what muck tuck tastes like. She tried to chew every single one of them, poor girl. After the muck tuck, our last clue said, run a kilometer, find John at the mat. We're like, yes, we know we're in second position. Oh, and I skipped the dog sled. We were the only team that got to do the dog sled that day because we were in last the day before. That was our extra task that we had to do. All the rest of the teams were upset that they didn't get to do the dog sledding. I said, well, if you'd stop spending so much time in first all the time, you'd get to do something fun. A little trade-off there. So we get the clue, run a kilometer, find John, we take off, we get about 500 meters down the road, take a hard right, and there's John. And I'm pretty sure that's St. Peter he's talking to. My heart just sinks because this has been all day, like all day. I am exhausted, and everything inside of me it feels like somebody pulled the cork on the tub, and all my energy drained. And I may have eventually made it up that hill. I might have. But if you watch the video closely, you see that my jacket's off because I'm sweating like a pig. It's only minus 15. I mean, for Winnipeggers, that's spring. Jacket's off. I literally grabbed the back of Tim Jr.'s jacket, and he pulled me up the hill. Would I have made it alone? Eventually. Would we have stayed in second place? Probably not. I learned that day a whole new lesson in humility that I probably wouldn't have walked into eagerly, knowingly, but in order to get the job done, as the old song says, I needed a little help from my friends. And it required a whole lot of humility. I don't know many 48-year-old fathers who want to turn to their 23-year-old boy and say, hey, I need a hand. But I needed a hand. I had to have help to get up that hill that day. And I could have said no. I could have dug in and said, no, I'm not going to ask for help. We guys are good for that, right? But these kind of lessons in life can either define us or refine us. Parkinson's can define me and make me something that I don't want to be, or I can allow it to refine me and make me something better, something more. And some days that simply means I have to be willing to go through the process. And on this day, I needed to learn a lesson in humility. I could have simply given up. I could have said, you know, I do have Parkinson's. Why'd you make this so damn hard? I could have fallen back into that old trap and just said, I can't do this because. Or I could choose to dig a little deeper and let my kid haul my butt up a mountainside. As we struggled to stay in the race, we continually chose to persevere. And that journey began to change me as an individual. There's an old analogy, two of them that I like about trees. One is a mighty oak. How do you grow a mighty oak? Do you put it in a greenhouse? Tuck it away, water it a little every day, give it some nice ultraviolet light? You don't grow a mighty oak by that. In Manitoba, we stick them out on the prairie, let them get 40 feet of snow dumped on them, sit through minus 60 winds at night, get hailed on, sleeted on, struck by lightning occasionally in the summer. And what happens? As it goes through difficulty, its roots go down deep, finds rock and hard, firm substance to hold on to. And as it does, what happens up top? Its branches go out wide, they eventually leaf, they become shelter, shade, and comfort for those around them. You take the example of the mighty sequoia trees down in California, completely different root structure, completely shallow, don't go deep at all, but rather they grab onto one another. They find nourishment and strength and support in one another. And these giant trees that can tolerate us cutting huge holes in them to drive our cars through will stand because they stand together. And in Iqaluit that day, I learned to let my roots go a little bit deeper. I learned what it meant to hold on a little bit stronger to those around me, and grew better because of it. Hopefully, allowing myself to become shelter, shade, and a comfort to those around me. And in attempting to live that out, some of the things that we do, we're ambassadors with an organization called Compassion. We're going there to Colombia this August to see a girl that we've sponsored for the last 10 years in attempting to provide shelter, education, food, clothing for people who are far, far less fortunate than we are. I'm very involved in Parkinson's in Manitoba with the Movement Disorder Clinic and with the Parkinson's Society of Manitoba in attempting to give back. This fall, we have our Super Walk. I'm working on Tim's team. 100 people raising $100 each to be a part of the biggest team that's ever walked in the Super Walk in Manitoba. A hope and a desire to give back out of the vast blessing that I have been given. Last October, had the opportunity to be in Montreal, met a gentleman by the name of Bob Kuhn. He's the interim president at Trinity Western University. Also has Parkinson's, had a very unique take on wellness. He said, illness begins with I. Parkinson's tends to make me narcissistic. It tends to turn me inward. It tends to make me very self-centered. However, wellness begins with we. And we together can not only help me as an individual, but we can help our entire community live better. David and Goliath, a book written by Malcolm Gladwell, there's a quote in it that I very much like. It basically says this: courage is not something we just have, but rather it is something that we learn. We learn courage after having faced terrible circumstances and seeing that we can survive. It is out of this place of courage, because we have experienced hope, that we can offer hope to others. Difficult circumstances, Parkinson's, they can refine our character into something better if we allow it. Now, here's the wrap. I don't want you to come away from this talk feeling like you're lucky. You're straight up lucky, Tim. You're fortunate. Yeah, you got a pretty decent head on your shoulders, but you're lucky. You got through the race because those 2 doggone non-elimination rounds, and you lucked your way into it. Were we lucky? No. Yes. We were extraordinarily lucky, but there is more than luck that goes into this, and you may recall the flags and the flowers. Along the race, my dear wife said to me, pay attention. Every race, every time, will have something that you will need to remember. Some kind of memory challenge, some kind of something that will come up. Pay attention. I don't often listen to those things. Fortunately, this time I did. In Kelowna, the very first clue had on it the rising sun of the BC flag. I wrote that down. When we got to the mat, the greeter had on her lapel the flower of the BC province. Interesting. I wrote that down. Every new leg and every mat, I wrote down the flag and the flower that was presented to me. And every night, I committed those to memory. So that when we ended up in Toronto, even though we got lost, I had a really good feeling that all we needed to do was get through and find that mat. Find that next challenge, rather. Because if you know the girls, I really didn't think the girls would know the flags and the flowers. Just saying. Jody and Corey, 70-30 to the bad now. I doubted that they would know the flags and the flowers. We just needed to get there. And when we got there, what they never finished, I finished in 10 minutes on 2 tries, which led to this.
Rock and roll, baby.
Father and son, Tim and Tim Jr.
You got it, Dad. Here we go.
started the race with the added challenge of Tim Sr.'s Parkinson's.
That diagnosis doesn't have to define your life. This guy's my hero right here. I'm really proud of him.
Leg after leg, Tim Sr. pushed himself beyond anyone's expectations.
You can do more than you think you can. You just have to be willing to try.
Good fortune smiled on the Tims.
This is a non-elimination round?
No. Not once, but twice.
You are still in this race.
More than anyone, the Tims know it's now or never.
5 years from now, I won't have the physical capability to do this race. We have to win. Won't have a second shot.
Talk to me.
7 provinces, 3 territories, 15 cities, and over 23,000 kilometers.
There we go!
And you are the first winners of the Amazing Race Canada. Tim Sr., Tim Jr., you guys have won 2 2014 Corvette Stingrays, executive first-class travel for a year from Air Canada to anywhere in the world, and $250,000.
My dad has completely blown every expectation of him out of the water. Parkinson's isn't supposed to let you do half the things that he's done in this race. And he not only did them, he kicked their butt, man.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand the hard realities of this disease called Parkinson's. Until we find a cure, it may very well win my personal war with it. But today's battle is mine. It cannot and will not have my life today. Parkinson's could not rob me of the Amazing Race Canada, and neither can it have my life today. It is out of this place that I encourage you to persevere. Continue on in your struggle, even in the face of difficulty, even when there's little to no evidence of success. Persevere. I pray that each of you will have the strength to do your best and the courage to be content with what your best produces. Strength for the task at hand and courage for the road ahead. And in doing your best, stop there and leave room to offer hope to others. Persevere, strength and courage, because you just never know where your best will take you. Thank you so much for that. You're making me shake more. I'll answer 3 questions that always get asked.
Okay.
Did we keep the cars?
Yeah, I asked you already, didn't I?
No. We live in Winnipeg. You come and you see our potholes, they'd swallow up those doggone cars. The trips, fabulous. Tim Jr. just came home from Australia, spent 2 weeks there. Prior to that, he was home for a week, and prior to that, he was in Chile for 2 weeks. And so he still has a couple more trips to use up. My wife and I took our 3 other children and went to France for 3 weeks. Unbelievable. Week in Paris, 2 weeks down the French Riviera. Absolutely beautiful. If you typically don't fly first class, My suggestion is don't. It's really hard going back. Today's flight was very nice, just not quite as nice. And the cash, well, we are good Manitobans. It all went on the house. Few little things, but by and large, it went on the house. It's been such a pleasure, folks. Thank you so much for having me. And
Tim Hague Sr.